Good afternoon. God bless.
You're welcome to Church of Christ Gist. Today we'll be discussing on the issue of dancing, and it is obvious that many persons, especially people of the Church of Christ, like members of the Church of Christ, will notice that they do dance in terms of why in church they don't dance, but when it comes to occasion like marriages, um, Thanksgiving, you see them dancing. So we want to know, is it right for a Christian or a Church of Christ member to dance outside? Why are having some gatherings? Is it right? Is it biblical right? Or what can we do? Or what is your take on it? Yes.
The Christian faith is not a part-time faith. This is the problem we are having in the world. You are either a Christian or you are not a Christian. In worshiping God, the Bible says we should worship God in spirit and in truth. And you can agree that with these two basic components of worship, nothing concerns dancing. Except we are saying that it is on Sunday we are Christians, then from Monday we become pagans. When we come together as a church, we are Christians. After that, we gather as pagans. Now, Christ did not live a dual life. That is to say, in one side he is living paganistically, other side is living like as of Christ. No. Now, in the book of Romans, chapter 14, verse 23-24, he says that whatsoever you do, if it is not by faith, it is sin.
Okay, sir. But when you talk of it,
Now, let me still come down. People now have bothered themselves. This dancing issue, where are the boundary lines? See where we are having what looks like a gap. In sports or exercise, dancing has been factored in. Why is it factored in? Because when people are having sporting activity, music are put on the background to maintain a common rhythm. Either they are marching, or they are jumping, or they are swinging to one side or the other. He became trying to swing within the rhythm of the drum or the musical background. This is where you can now say that dancing is a part of exercise. But outside that, and you know, exercise in one form is medicinal. So if you are taking a normal exercise, it can be done with music or without music. Some people have gone liberal and they advocate that in the church, don't dance. After the church, dance. The thing we ask ourselves, Jesus is our perfect example. We find one instance, maybe he did not dance in the synagogue in the temple, but outside the temple, outside the synagogue, he was dancing. The apostles, what can we talk about that? Can we record one single instance? From Acts chapter 2, read down the letters. You discover that we cannot find the church as a whole or the brethren as individuals involved in a dancing fiesta. People are even using it to castigate us that we are not straightforward. Why would you say this is allowed? You cannot do it in the church, but here you can do it. Yes, the human cultural society originally has the innate capacity, the tendency to enjoy dancing. It is a traditional, it's a carnal thing. Even in the Old Testament, when they crossed one of these water places, the Miriam rolled out the drum and they began to dance. When David defeated Goliath, they rolled out the drum, they began to dance. So this is more of instinctual. And instinct means that it is not a formally coordinated event, but as if it is an animalistic tendency. Like the snake, you touch the body, it begins to bite. It may not mean the snake may plan to have beaten you, but just the instinct. So when we behave instinctually, we can respond to any drum beat, any musical background, etc. We feel we are cruising line. But the true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. If you give example of holy men that serve God, look at Enoch, he walked with God. Look at Elijah, he walked with God. You can go on and on. When we want to create a space to tell God, I want to enjoy carnality, we begin to factor these things, rationalize them to make it look beautiful and acceptable. That is my take on that.
All right, thank you, sir, on that. Now, we want to look at the use of instruments in worship. It is observed that members of the Church of Christ, they don't use instruments in terms of worship. Now, people out there are criticizing them that if you don't use instruments like the drums and etc., but you use microphone, is the microphone not an instrument? So what is your take on that?
The classification of instruments used in worship need to be clearly defined. What David and the rest did, as you can see from the Psalms, included directly tapping, beating, pulling strings, etc., to produce sounds that have no interpretation. Sounds like you beating the drum, you infer interpretation or meanings to it. Now, that was the worship they did then, and God tolerated it. But in the time of Amos, God began to say, woe to them that do these things according to the manner or pattern of David. Now, but when you bring the microphone we use in the church worship today, it is not in the same pedestal with the drums that David used. It is the situation of circumstantial convenience. You are addressing a large audience and your voice has to be heard. You are not making an unintelligible sound. So it is a means of communication. Just as we share tracts, you are passing the word. Just as you can buy somebody a copy of the Bible. So when Jesus had to climb on a boat to address audience. So these are not, it is not used in the text and sense of entertainment or elating the people. It is used purely to free communication gap, to cover a gap, not for it is a modern device. When we speak on TV, then there was no television. So it is not the same thing as the instrument as used in the Old Testament.
Okay, sure. All right.